From Creamer Media in Johannesburg, this is the Real Economy Report. Our top stories this week. We report on the argument that South Africa's energy regulator doesn't have legal and policy tools necessary to adjudicate Eskom's unpopular tariff request. Nickel Junior African Nickel eyes high profits at a moderate global nickel price. And green software is beneficial in reducing energy consumption. The National Energy Regulator of South Africa will announce power price increases in late February, but besides the economic and technical arguments for and against, NERSA will also have to assess whether it has the legal authority to make such a determination, as Engineering News editor Terence Creamer reports.
Speaker after speaker at last week's hearings into the merits or otherwise of Eskom's application for electricity price increases of 35% a year between 2010 and 2013 questioned whether the policy environment truly existed for NERSA to make such a tariff determination. The most strident of these critics was former Water Affairs Director General and now Wits academic, Dr. Mike Muller.
There's no framework in place, Chair, to evaluate the public interest, and that makes it very difficult to take a decision at this time. I submit that NERSA should actually and correctly recuse itself from this decision, request that government should either rapidly establish a framework within which NERSA can make an appropriate technical determination of what is appropriate, or that government should consider the issues tabled, which NERSA has contributed greatly to elucidating and enlightening. They should consider those issues tabled and then make a direct political decision in the national interest.
But Muller was not alone, with similar sentiments being expressed by everyone from Johannesburg Mayor Amos Masondo, representing the local government association, through to environmental groups. In fact, business posed similar, albeit less strident, questions about the policy framework. Business Unity South Africa's CEO Jerry Velikazi and Chamber of Mines Techno-Economic Advisor Dick Kruger.
The finalization of the integrated resource plan is expected to provide details of South Africa's energy plan. And we argue, Chair, that it is vital that that plan is finalized and released and decisions on investments and funding be taken within that IRP. In a similar way, the integrated energy modeling and integrated energy master plan needs to be finalized urgently by government.
The MYPD2 process appears to place the cart before the horse in relation to the expected future structures and funding of the ESI over the next 2 decades. Without final resource plans and energy plans, it's very difficult to make funding and pricing decisions on issues that are materially relevant to the entire systemic of the ESI. That means that at best, the current MYPD2, or rather its 3-year period, should be seen as an interim arrangement while the IRP and integrated energy plans are being finalized.
With visible signs of a global economic recovery on the horizon, Nickel Junior African Nickel reports that its Bonaccord project in Mpumalanga could be profitable at moderate global nickel price levels. Jonathan Fourie reports.
African Nickel is eager to ramp up its Bonaccord project into full production because of the low-cost profits it can offer. African Nickel Director Richard Hornsey reports on the plans for the project for 2010.
For 2010, what we will do during 2010 is complete the concept study, which is a preliminary evaluation of the economic potential of the known mineralisation, as well as completing our upside exploration, which is evaluating the addition for additional ore and additional grade. Following that, we will move to feasibility study, which will be completed by the end of 2010.
He adds that exploration activities on the site were not affected by the economic crisis.
On this site, what we decided to do during the period last year, the previous year we'd spent a lot of money putting together a lot of information. What we decided to do was interpret that information, so we're paying salary costs. So we retrenched our exploration activities back to salaries. We wrote up competent persons reports on the majority of our projects, and we spent time doing field work, particularly our Costa project, which significantly advanced the project. Back to basics, low-cost exploration activities.
Green software has the ability to reduce a company's energy consumption. Jacqueline Holman has the story.
The drive towards going green and reducing energy consumption has become more important than ever in today's business world. Green software and information technology can assist companies in this regard. Gallium MD Hayden Pennell explains the concepts of green software and green IT.
Green IT is around reducing and saving energy around computing cycles and processing power and things like that, as well as efficient management of computing resources and recycling when things are being decommissioned and things like that. Green software is exactly the same. Green software, if you look at what consumes the most processing power in any data center or any environment, software and applications consume the processing power. They're responsible for the processing and the load and things like that. So green software is about software to manage the emissions and the energy and being able to monitor how energy efficient applications are. And green software also relates to the applications themselves. Good applications and good software is good for business because businesses run on their applications. So a good application that's customer facing, that's efficient, is not going to lose you customers. A good application that's able to process more transactions or control a production line a lot more efficiently has spin-offs into every aspect of business.
How can a green IT environment be created?
As the applications become more efficient and become more robust and they're aiding in reducing the processing, etc., looking at the life cycle of an application where it becomes time to retire an application or consolidate hardware for a better application, a more efficient application. Application lifecycle management just aids in that whole process, because if I know that I need less processing power for a more efficient application, I can retire some of that hardware. And then again, retiring that hardware then becomes a green IT initiative of how you recycle that and how you dispose of the hardware and the asset management across the entire life cycle as well.
And now for a sneak preview of this week's Engineering News magazine. Our cover story highlights how car makers are going green and small as they seek to improve 2009's dismal performance. Read about the eThekwini municipality's multi-billion rand program to reduce water loss from 40% to 23% over 5 years. And we report that South Africa has officially joined the International Renewable Energy Agency. And in Mining Weekly this week, our cover story asks whether gold investment demand will continue. We report that it's highly unlikely that any policy changes on nationalizing South Africa's mines would be considered in the next 2 years. And South Africa's state-owned Industrial Development Corporation reaffirms its commitment to providing $89 million in project debt facilities for the Bisha Gold Project in Eritrea despite UN sanctions. That's Creamer Media's Real Economy Report. Join us again next week for more news and insights into South Africa's real economy.
Creamer Media's Mining Weekly delivers unmatched insight into Africa's premier industry. Breaking news, visit miningweekly.com. Creamer Media's Mining Weekly, empowering mining.